Welcome to the House District 58 candidate debate, and thank you for joining us. My name is Linda Gann, and I am joined today by Representative Marc Catlin. We invited his opponent, Seth Cagin, to join us, but he did not respond to our requests. Representative Catlin, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Representative, please introduce yourself to the viewers and tell us a little bit about why you chose to run for another term.
Well, my name is Marc Catlin, and I'm from Montrose. I want to thank Club 20 for going ahead and putting on these debates. This is important to the people in Western Colorado. You know, it's too bad more people didn't respond, but I'm here and I'm ready to talk about it. One of the reasons that I decided to run for re-election is there's still a lot of things in the state of Colorado that need some attention. We need attention in our national forests. We need in our public lands. But we also need to be worried about our water. In a drought season like we've had this year and like we will probably have again next year, water is on everyone's mind. It's on Western Colorado's mind, and it's on Southern California's mind, and it's on Eastern Colorado's mind. But the one thing we have in common with that is the Colorado River, because the Colorado River is trying to support everybody's needs, wants, and hopes. But we continue to worry about Western Colorado because we have the water here, we have the senior water rights, and we are the people that are putting it to beneficial use, not just running it out into the ocean and/or doing things with it that would be considered ornamental. We're trying to make livings with this. You know, that's really our major natural resource. But the 58th district is based in natural resources. Everything from mining to tourism is attached to natural resources. In our district, we have the Mesa Verde National Park. We've got Black Canyon National Park. This is a great place for people to come, but it's all based on our natural resources. We need to take care of those natural resources in ways that will keep us from becoming nothing but a massive forest fire. We do have problems in our forests. We do have problems in all of our public lands. I think that a state representative, even though they are a national government, we need to have input into them as to how they're managed, where they're managed, and what we're going to do with those natural resources. Multi-use is something that I'm very much in favor of out in our natural resources. But in our district, we also have issues with hospitals, with schools, with mental health, with all of the things that every other community has problems with. We need to be sitting down and talking about some of those kind of things. And what I've tried to do as a representative is to represent those issues so that they would be addressed in the 58th district. Sometimes rural Colorado, and a lot of times rural Colorado, has a lot different problems than what urban does. One size does not often fit all.
Thank you for those remarks. Next, we have a few questions for you that have been submitted by Club 20 members. Our first question is this: how do you see equity being accomplished between the urban and rural parts of our state?
Well, that's a good question, and thank you for asking. One of the first things that needs to happen is urban Colorado needs to recognize that we're here. They need to realize that people come to Colorado to be a tourist or to be on vacation because of what we have on the Western Slope. I don't think many people go to Denver to spend a 2-week vacation in downtown Denver, but they do come here. Urban Colorado seems to think that they should drive the agenda, that they should have the final say. One of the things that I've found with the bills that I've taken to the House of Representatives is if those bills start here and if they will fit rural Colorado, more than likely they will fit the state of Colorado. But what's been happening, it's been from the top down. Urban Colorado telling rural Colorado what we need to do and how we need to do it. I call it, we have to whittle our square peg to fit their round hole. And sometimes that's what's causing the problem. Is they don't hear us, we're having a hard time understanding them, and they seem to think since the bulk of the people live there, they should determine how all of us live, and it's not working. Urban Colorado is not really in tune with what's going on in rural Colorado.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative. Our next question is, what would an interstate call on the Colorado River mean to Colorado water users? What can or should be done now to prepare or prevent an interstate Colorado River call?
Well, a call on the Colorado River in the 1922 Colorado River Compact would change life as you know it here in western Colorado. Water rights that are older than 1922 would not be curtailed. Call means curtailed in today's language. So if you have a water right over 1922, newer than that, you could certainly be shut off. But more than that, the call on the Colorado River would change how all of us are trying to deal with that. Don't forget that the Trans Mountain diversions are 1937, they're at risk. One of the things that we're doing right now is we are looking at how we can manage the demand in western Colorado. But in order to accomplish that demand management, the Front Range in Denver, they've got to control their demand also. So in other words, we don't want the senior water rights in western Colorado protecting the junior rights that are going over the mountain. Because the prior appropriation doctrine states, if you're the oldest, then you can continue to divert. If you're the youngest, you're the one that would have to be curtailed or called out. But there are a lot of conversations going on in western Colorado right now. And what we need to do is engage the urban community that they have a role to play in this demand management too.
Thank you, Representative Catlin. Our last question is, what role should the state play in forest fire mitigation on state and federal lands?
I think probably the first thing that the state should probably do is we need to be looking at how can we identify fires quicker. I ran a bill this last year that didn't make it through because of COVID, where we were going to put cameras in the forest so that they would be able to triangulate where that fire was starting, give a GPS identification, and send that information to the forest office so that they could respond rapidly. That's one thing. Technology could help. The other thing I think we need to do is we need to start removing, and the state can help with this, start removing some of this dead timber that's been standing there now for years. The economic life of that dead timber has a very short period of time, from 5 to 6 years. We need to get in, take that fuel out of our forests, and move it to the lumber yards. In Montrose, we have the largest and the only real lumber mill in the state of Colorado. We need to be able to get those logs to that mill and turn them into studs and start building the houses that people are going to need and are starting to want pretty badly. Our national forests are the kind of places that we all need to care about and love. When we drive by, we see what's happened. That beetle has destroyed our state. We need to get busy in managing it so that it doesn't happen to us what's happening around the West. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Catlin. We now move into the closing remarks. Representative Catlin, please give us your closing remarks.
Well, I guess the things that I would say in order to close this morning's event is the western slope of Colorado and the 58th District particularly. The 58th District is Montrose County, San Miguel, which is Telluride, Montezuma, which is Cortez, and Dolores, which is Dove Creek. It's a very special area. I tell the other representatives that that's the best district in the state of Colorado. And believe me, I believe that. It's a very special place. When you start looking at what it has and what it can offer and what kind of a future the 58th District could have, it's unlimited. What we need to do now is to start looking about how can we move these communities into the future. We need more broadband. We need more mental health care. You know, one of the things that happens in the big city is they think that they've got all of the problems. But in communities like ours, we have problems. We need more beds. We need places that people can get help. But on top of that, we need places that we can educate our kids. We need to make our district profitable enough that our kids can afford to come home. and live an adult life. We raise up good kids. We send them off to college. They are not able to come home because the jobs are not available. So I usually say that our number one export is our kids, because that's what's happening. My communities are aging rapidly, more rapidly than the rest of the state. Therefore, we need more health care. We need more hospitals. We need all of those things. We need an infusion of youth. And I'm hoping that in the future, we will be able to take a look at some of these type of industries that people can come home, live in their hometown, raise their families, and continue to enjoy the western slope of Colorado. The other thing that I'd like to say, and this sounds corny, but one of the things about me is I do love the 58th District. It's my home. It's been my home all of my life. I've spent a lot of time in Cortez because whenever the world gets too heavy for me, I find myself in Cortez. There's something about that area that's very spiritual, and it lets me calm down. Those are the kind of things that this 58th District does for people. You know, in Denver, when people ask me who I represent, and I tell them the 58th District and explain my communities, all of them comment, wow, that is such a nice place. And it truly is. It's a place that's easy to love, and it's a place that's easy to represent, because those people, I am us. I'm the same as the folks that live in that district. Because I'm from there, I care about them, and that's where I want to spend the rest of my life too. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your participation in today's event. We appreciate your willingness to join us and to share with us how you plan to represent House District 58 if reelected. Now we will have a brief break to thank our generous sponsors before beginning the House District 59 debate at 10:05.
Dad, I'm scared.
It's only human to care for those we love and also help light their way. It's why last year Chevron invested over $10 billion to bring affordable, reliable, ever cleaner energy to America.